That's enough. That's enough.
Alrighty.
All right. So, hey, everyone. I want to welcome you to the very first episode of the Call Me Jess podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Rehll. I'm super excited about today's episode because we're diving into a topic that's a little bit spicy, a bit relevant, and definitely very prominent in today's day and age, especially in the online dating on the online dating platforms. So whether you're familiar with this or it's just like a term you hear floating around, there is no denying that this is a subject that most of us will have an opinion on, and that is hookup culture. So here with me today to unpack is a very special guest. His name is Mark Zian. Mark has his own thoughts and experiences on hookup culture, and we're going to kind of go back and forth discussing our thoughts and our opinions and maybe our experiences. And we're just going to have fun with it. So let's get into some real talk. And if I'm talking too fast, bear with me. I'll find my pace as I go. Okay, so we're going to set the stage again. We're talking about hookup culture. And basically, if you don't know what hookup culture is, because I've actually had some people on social media tell me that they don't know what that is. They haven't heard that term. Um, Hookup culture is the world of no strings attached relationships. It could be fun for some, not so much for others, and it can be like there's a whole in between there, like a whole spectrum between thoughts and opinions and whatever. So I want to kick this off by giving Mark the floor. I want you to talk about like your initial thoughts on hookup culture, and what you think of what it is in today's day and age.
Alrighty. Oh, hello, everybody. My thoughts on hookup culture. Well, the thing is with hookup culture, to me, it is shallow. That's what I don't like. That's what I dislike about it. I dislike that it is purely lust driven and that people are being used as objects, because that's what it is really. There is a lot of also lies and manipulation going around. People using people basically merely as sex toys. That's how I do not vibe with it. Um, However, I am a very open-minded individual. I'm also sexually very open-minded. I'm open-minded, open-hearted. I'm a free bird, and I do not attach. I got a tattoo over here. It stands for breaking through attachment. That also means in a relationship. So I do vibe with free love. And if you connect, if you vibe, you vibe. However, what I miss in the hookup culture is the lack of depth, the lack of connection. That is often just not there. And it is hard to find the in between. That is what I struggle with. What I struggle with is that it is usually either people want to fully commit and fully go for something and have a future together and have a look for to have a relationship, and to attach, or it is purely just using each other as an object, no wanting to connect deeper, no depth, no love. So yeah, that's just my first thing that came to mind about it.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I like it's fascinating to hear like how different yet similar somebody's journey can be. And I just want to put out there now, as before we really go deeper into this conversation and before I express my thoughts on hookup culture, is that there is no right or wrong way to navigate your own personal life. It's up to you. It's whatever feels right to you. It's nobody else's business. It's nobody else's choice. It's whatever resonates with you. So, with that being said, when I jump into it, I am not for hookup culture. It isn't something that I don't feel, maybe it's even so like I don't have the urge to be sexual with somebody that I don't have a connection with. So the connection has to come first. And typically, if I'm building a connection with you, we're building something deeper. I don't like the idea of, like Mark said, not having any depth to it and just kind of being with somebody using each other as a sex toy, as a sex object. Like I don't want anything to do with that. that doesn't mean that my way of thinking is right or your way of thinking is wrong or vice versa. It's that's what resonates with me. Um, with that, I wanted to also kind of jump into some personal experiences and thoughts and opinions around that. So as we're taking turns here, I'm going to let Mark take the floor again and kind of like maybe express, Mark, I don't know, tell us about like times where you've had just hookups, nothing any deeper than that. The how it, however comfortable you are with getting into it, but like how you felt or how you connected or just your whole thought process like along the
So to me, yes, like a connection that makes it that much more valuable. I always seek connection. I always seek depth. I'm a lover, not a player. I could not just use somebody. Also, I value honesty and openness. I think this is key in any type of relationship. Whether it is a serious, you have in mind, you have the intention to really have a serious long-term commitment and relationship, or whether you already have in mind that you want something less serious and want to hook up. I think as long as there is honesty, openness, and a good connection, then everything is possible. See, I am very open-minded with this. I vibe with like in the 60s you had the sexual revolution. At first there was a time that it was very much people were only, you only had sex after marriage. It was all still very uptight. The clothes of the people, the style of the people. Then the 60s came about, psychedelics came, and more open minds came. And the mindset of the hippies was also free love. They were also their barriers were quite low to hook up with each other. And well, it has its negative effects and its positive effects. Like I do believe in to be open-minded, and if you vibe, you vibe. And I do believe, especially in the spiritual community, there is a very high barrier. Like for many people, like you do have to have like a future, like a view of like having a future together, eventually maybe marrying together, having kids, for people to be ready to even think about things like that. That's what I hear mainly. And there's kind of like a taboo on hooking up. But my take is kind of, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I've had very positive experiences, also not so positive experiences. But for me, I am willing to explore, and I'm open minded, I'm open hearted. I go into it with love. I am all for unconditional love and detachment. So coming from that place, I do not want to attach to people, but I do want to love.
right. I
And
want
yes,
to,
that also,
for
yeah,
people
go
that
ahead.
don't know you, we should specify that when you say that you're not attaching and you focus on detachment, that doesn't mean that you're not looking for connection. You're looking for a
Yeah,
connection, not an attachment. Because I
I
know
am.
you, so I know that's your thought process, but I just want to share that with everybody else who's watching.
That's
So
good that you bring it up, because there's a lot of misconception about that. That detachment is also that you're not connected. No, like you can be fully detached, but still fully connected. So attachment to me is like that you grasp onto things and you want them to be yours. But detachment is realizing that nothing is really yours, and that everything is constantly changing. And to live in harmony with that constantly changing reality, you have to let go of it at the same time
I
and
agree.
embrace reality as it is and have no expectations, no
Don't
pressure,
grip so
no
hard onto
ego getting in the
you.
way of reality being a certain way, but being open to all
Let it flow.
possibilities.
Let things happen the way they're meant to happen. Let things unfold. Yeah, so
Absolutely.
you know that I agree with that way of thinking. I think that connection is the most important factor in any type of relationship, whether it's platonic or romantic.
Yeah, and I always value that. So if there is no connection, then there is also no hooking up. Like I need there to be indeed a connection. But to me, like if you vibe, you vibe. It doesn't have to be, in my perspective, that you have to build the entire thing up and that you have to have a future perspective and get like serious, so to say. For me, it is like if that energetic connection is there and there is love, um, that doesn't even have to be like, for many people that's also a high thing. If you say I love you, ooh, they said the word, you know, it's a very, very special thing. But for me it is just a regular thing. Like I believe in unconditional love, I believe in oneness, I believe we are all extensions of each other, we are all the universe being conscious of ourselves. um, so for me, it is just a unity with another piece of yourself. And I'm all for that, especially if there is a good connection. But of course, it is important to be wary of who you connect with, because there can also be people with negative energies, with traumatic experiences, with who can drain your energy. Because that can also, sacred energy exchange with sex, you can
Yeah, be
also.
careful who you share your energy with, because you're going to pick up on that energetic residue
Absolutely,
with
absolutely.
the amount of time, like the amount of thought that goes into energy and the way that I live my life and the way that I feel when it comes to energy. Um, that's one of like the top priorities. If I don't feel safe or comfortable around you, or I don't feel drawn to you, um, we don't necessarily like, I'm not going to be nasty, or I'm not going to treat you poorly or anything. I'm just not going to connect with you. I'm going to go in a completely opposite direction, and I'm going to go towards those that I'm energetically drawn to, because there's a reason you feel that energetic draw. Now, that doesn't always mean like I'm energetically drawn to people that I'm not romantically drawn to. It's a vibe, or a connection that you can have in creating friendships and creating relationships, or even just like temporary people coming into your life to teach you something, or for you to teach them something. Um, I don't know, all of that, but yes, go where you feel drawn, and if you don't feel comfortable in somebody's energy, don't bother with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I
But
do
let's
fully.
try and stay
Okay,
on
go ahead.
hookup culture, because I know you and I, we can go off on a tangent and then we're going to be completely lost. But um back to hookup culture, just quickly, like talking about our thoughts and opinions on it. But I'm going to also share some actual like experiences. I have had two hookups in my entire life, just two. That's enough, and they were in my younger years. That was enough for me to realize like the way that I felt after the fact. It wasn't something that was resonating with me. It didn't feel great. The first one,
Mhm.
especially being I was 19 years old and I was drinking heavily. I'm blacked out. I don't recall anything. I remember waking up in the middle of it and being like, okay, I need to go home. And I went home, and I just remember sitting there, like sitting with myself thinking like, what the did I just let happen? And you kind of go, like, it is what it is. Shit happens as you go. And then the next one, I was probably about 23, and this one was with a friend of mine, and it was a much less like, we were drinking wine and whatnot, but it was just more like, hey, why not? Let's just do this for the hell of it. And then I was like, why did I do that? Like, why? It just wasn't fulfilling for me in any way. And it left both times, it just left me feeling like it's not who, it wasn't an authentic, like, it didn't resonate within my soul or within my heart. I don't know how else to like put it. It just didn't feel right.
But in the moment it did, right? Or didn't also not in the moment? Was it like forced?
Well, the first one I don't remember because I was
You're right. But the second.
the second one, it was there was no like, it was just a friend, and it was literally just pure experimental. Why not? We were both single, why not? And
But it
then,
was not a positive experience, or was it just
no,
after that
it
that you
wasn't
thought?
positive or negative, you know what I mean? It was just a thing that happened, and that afterwards I thought about it, and I was like, why? It wasn't fulfilling. It didn't do anything to make me like be like, yeah, this is something I want to do. I enjoy that, because I just didn't. So you learn, and as we grow, you're learning about yourself. You don't always know exactly what, like, you have to experience things to know whether or not that's something that is a part of who you are or isn't. Or you got to figure your shit out as you're growing. We all do. Like you grow up and you're learning and you don't just come into this world knowing everything about who you are or what you're going to like, what you're not going to like. You grow into that. And I think that's really important to embrace your experiences, the good and the bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, for me, I definitely believe sex is a sacred thing, and you should be mindful of who you do share it with. However, I am a very sexual being. I'm also a free bird. I do not attach. I like to travel. I like to follow my own path. So it takes a lot for me to really, find the one. But time goes by so quick. Life goes by so quick. Do I want to fill my life waiting for the one, letting many years go by? No. I want to be open and I want to
Sorry,
have
I
many
couldn't hear yourself.
experiences.
Sorry. Go.
Oh yeah, so I want to have many experiences. So I do not want to limit myself. I do like to give things a try, and if it doesn't vibe, then it doesn't vibe. But I do like to. I also didn't have many hookups in my life. It's also you can only count it on like one hand. Um, because I do not really chase, I do not really actively look for it like that. But if it comes on my path, for example, during traveling or something, that was one of the best experiences I had with a hookup was while I was traveling in Macedonia, for example. This was also when I was drinking a lot, but I just met a local girl there and we hooked up. And it was actually a beautiful experience because we did have that energetic connection. It was there. So for me, like, there doesn't have to be a lot on the game, It doesn't have to be like really something built up for me. If the connection is there, the connection is there, and then my barrier can be quite low as well. But I wouldn't do that with just anybody. That's the difference.
Yeah, I get
So
what you're saying.
so yes, I'm a highly sexual being, and yes, I would hook up with somebody, but the energetic connection has to be there. And if it's there, it's like that much better. I have also had some experience where there was less of a connection, and that is just indeed, like you say, not so fulfilling.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
also do not really have that feeling like, oh wow, what did I do that I really regret it or something? I always live without regrets. But if you compare it to if that connection is there, it's just not the same.
I
Um,
think I don't have any regrets now because I embrace everything that I've had on my journey. I embrace it all as being who I was. I was 19 years old, still figuring out who I was. And I just remember sitting with myself after the fact, being like, I was so upset with myself. And I was like, that because there was not an energetic connection with either one. Like
yeah,
either one. There was no energetic connection. There was no interest beyond, well, like the first one, there was no there that wasn't even planned. That was we got really drunk and shit happened. Um, and then the second one was more like I said, experimental. So
yeah,
that's all a part of like I don't have any regrets about anything in my life at all at this age, but I'm significantly older than 19 now. So you grow and you learn from those things and you learn that all the things that you may have like that you may think you should have regrets for just kind of help shape you. They're
right,
lessons that you went through to help you learn about who you are, learn who you are, learn what resonates with you,
absolutely,
and just figure yourself out. So no
absolutely,
regrets either.
absolutely, yeah. But yeah, in my opinion, like it is something sacred and you should be mindful who you do it with. Yet at the same time, it can also be innocent fun. If you are both two consenting adults, then like I'm all for it. Go for it. Why not? As long as you do not force yourself into something. And the thing I do not vibe with is just the manipulation and the lies and the using people merely as objects. Um, so I'm a spiritual guy. I'm into connecting. I'm into energy. I'm into unconditional love. So for me, there is always love and the intention to connect, the intention to connect deeply. And that is what I see so much lacking in this culture. And that is the thing that's, yeah, I do not vibe with. But in
Right. Like
general, yeah, go
just
ahead.
going back to what you were saying about like lying and manipulating somebody so that you can get what you want out of it is, I think if
Yeah,
you say that out loud, we all know that that's nonsense. Like, don't do that. Um,
it's crazy.
Being
It's
open and
happening so
honest from
much.
the beginning, like, hey, this isn't going to be anything more than a hookup for me. And then the other person has the right to say, oh, no, I'm not interested, or okay, let's have some fun, you know? But you lie and you lead people on and you want to get to a certain like level to where you're getting what you want. And then you're like, all right. Like,
Yeah,
what is
absolutely.
that? What is that about?
And that is ridiculous. And that is a shame of nowadays, that there is so much just people don't care about each other, even if they have been sexual with each other for a while. Like they're that easy to, just lie to each other or turn their backs on each other. And there is just this lack of care and love and connection, actually.
Yeah.
And it is just merely lust and using each other as like a sex toys, indeed.
Or
That
there's just this weird mindset. It depends on who you are as a person, but like sometimes you get lost, and social media can be insane. And I'll get lost in some Instagram comments and I'm reading like some of these responses on like there's wonderful people on social media, and then there's just I don't even have words for it. The comments that these people are saying on other people's, like strangers that they don't even know, things where they're going out of their way to put somebody down or going out of your way to make somebody feel like they're less than. To me, that blows my mind. Like, I don't understand what that's about. I don't know why, as a society, that's where we are. You can't, you're gonna have your assholes. And I'm talking like we can all be assholes. Like we can all have our moments, but I'm talking about being an intentional like jerk, going out of your way to lie to somebody or hurt somebody or manipulate somebody. Again, I think we need to take it back to hookup culture because I realize I'm going off a little bit, but this all still comes hand in hand with it. Like that type of energy filling up, like I would rather stay single for the rest of my life, happily content in my own little bubble of energy, than to deal with that type of treatment, that type of energy from another person.
Oh, of course, and that's understandable. But it's a shame that, this world makes you believe, and that's understandable. Because that's the majority of the people that you'll deal with in this, like the dating apps and stuff. But of course, there are always people out there that do want genuine connections. And it's
Absolutely.
sad that this
Mhm.
this culture is making many people give up on dating and the entire even their perspective on sex and on hookups, because this is like a standard, that there is so much a lack of respect, a lack of integrity, a lack
Compassion.
of honesty, connection, and that's a shame. That's a shame that's where we're at. But everybody is just a product of their environment, so you can't really blame anybody as well. But yeah, we are in times where we need more unity. We need more unity. We need more love. And I believe if we are in a place of unity and love, then a hookup can be something beautiful and something meaningful, even though if you are not intending to have a long-term relationship and you just want to connect and be sexual for a little while. For example, a vacation fling, like if you're on vacation and it's just going to be for that time, but who knows what happens later. But just in that moment, you just want to enjoy it. But yes, you connect deeply, then it can be a beautiful thing. But the sad thing is that it's just, that usually guys, they're just seeing a girl as the next trophy, as the next um, achievement, as merely a lust object. That is sad.
And that's
That
why,
is
so you
sad.
have to navigate who you share your energy with and who you're connecting with. But honestly, I think I've gotten to a point to where if you just learn to listen to your intuition, you're going to know right off, like just right from meeting somebody, you're going to get some type of impression about them. You're going to get a feeling about their intentions. I'm not saying you're going to know everything, but I am saying that it's really important that you listen to that. Listen to your intuition, listen to the vibes, listen to the energy that you're picking up. And because then you might be able to avoid, who knows, you could just avoid something really traumatic happening or having a really shitty relationship. I feel like anybody who's watching this or most people that end up listening to this, I'm sure we've all experienced this shitty relation, both men and women. You can get it from both sides. Men get treated like shit, women get treated like shit. It depends on who you're trying to force a relationship with.
Absolutely.
If there's a connection, you're not going to have to force anything. And if you're able to communicate, this is why they say communication is important, but only if the other person is willing to hear you. And then like vice versa, because you can be the best communicator in the world, express how you're feeling, express your thoughts, do it in a very kind and loving way. And the other person, if they're not willing to hear you and not willing to, like, if they don't care, they don't care, and you can't make them care. There is no magic. I want you to care, so you need to care. That comes from within themselves. Like that comes from whoever you're connecting with. So listen to your intuition. Listen to the vibes you get before you even start a relationship, and then build off of that. And if it ever feels wrong, maybe don't walk away right away because it could just be a bad day. But stay in tune to that, because if it feels wrong and it continues to feel wrong, leave.
Oh, I fully agree. I fully agree. Your intuition is your best teacher. Sometimes it doesn't make sense in the mind, or you think you know what you want. You think your mind might be tricked that you think you want this person or you want to keep this thing going, but it has been feeling off. Probably that's the best advice that you can listen to your heart, to your
Listen to
intuition.
yourself,
I
yeah.
fully agree with that. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, like the next episode is going to be on karmic relationships, twin souls, soulmates, all of that. But without really getting into that, I do think sometimes you can be drawn to somebody that's not good for you, because there's a lesson to be learned, which is a karmic relationship. Karmic relationships do tend to be kind of long term and just tumultuous. Is that how you pronounce that word? Just not
No
like
idea.
they can be very rocky and uncomfortable, but for some reason you stay in it a lot longer than you think you should, because you kind of like psychologically get stuck in it. Because on a universal level, if we're talking karmic relationships, you have something to learn from that. So they're not your soulmate, but you will feel drawn to them at that time, because in order for you to stay and learn those lessons, you have to have something like pulling you to them. And then when you get out of that and you look back and you think about it, you're like, why was I ever even attracted to that person? They're not my type. They're not like I've experienced this firsthand. So they're not my type, not my style. They don't like the same things I like. There was just so many differences. And I'm just like, why? Why did I spend so many years of my life? And I was like, okay, because it helped me develop into the person that I am today. I learned a lot about myself going through such a hectic relationship. And I feel like it actually taught me to open up more to my intuition and learn and understand, like, to listen to what I'm feeling, to go with it. Because honestly, I don't think it's ever been wrong, ever. Like picking up a vibe, and it's always been accurate to some extent. So listen to yourself.
You're your own best teacher.
And we got 5 people in here. Hi, 5 guys. Oh, this is on Facebook. I don't know who we have on Twitch. I'm just checking. We still have one viewer on Twitch,
Mhm.
which is fine. This is my first time. I've just created the Twitch. I've never really even played around on that platform yet. I watch another podcast from from there, which is why I was like, we're gonna try this platform. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes. And this podcast will obviously turn into whatever it's meant to turn into. Each episode will get a little bit better. I'm really trying to stay focused, at least on the subject, because I know myself, and just trying to give like interesting content. So we'll see what it turns into. Just bear with me today.
Actually, what came to mind, one of the things I believe which ruins hookup culture is also pornography. I think porn,
Go
I
ahead,
think
I'm
that's a major
sorry.
one. I think that has such a bad influence on the whole perception of sex, that it is, first of all, how it's done, it's like super fake. It's like totally acted, super fake. And that it is so lust driven, and that it is such, usually men, like teen boys that watch it, they get this whole wrong perception of it, that it is so, first of all, how fake it is, and that it's totally like lust driven, using people as objects, that it's something dirty, something pornographic, something dirty, instead of something divine. Make sex divine again, make
I
sex
agree.
sacred again.
Yeah. No, so I mean, there's studies, aren't there studies that have been done that show like what porn literally changes the chemistry in your brain. It
I
makes
think so.
it's so unrealistic. If you it's an addiction just like heroin. They've proven this, you're it's an addiction and it's going to eventually really start having an effect on your life when you're falling into that.
Yeah,
I never got into that. I realized that's more, I don't know. I was going to say that's more of a masculine thing, but I could be wrong. So I'm not even going to say that. I never got into that. I do know that I've heard enough about it, and I also know that it's very fake and it's very, like you said, less driven. And if you're expecting to have that in your relationship, like it's just unrealistic. I'm not saying you guys can't have fun. Like let the sexual energy flow, but it should be a very mutual thing. Communication should be big on that one. You have to make sure like both parties are comfortable and kind of getting back into hookup culture when it comes to this, like I don't think there's anything wrong with hookups. I don't personally do hookups. I don't look at somebody else and be like, oh, you're sleeping with this person, that person. Do whatever you want. Do what you want. It's your life. The issue that I will have when it comes to hookup culture is if you're lying and manipulating and not being truthful to get the hookup. So
yeah. And
that's a
we're on
problem.
the same line with that. That's what I don't vibe with. The lies, the manipulation.
Yeah.
As long as you're open and you're honest and you have two willing adults, then do whatever
Oh
you
yeah,
want.
consent is
Uh,
everything. Like
Exactly.
consent matters in
Exactly.
every aspect of everything, every part of
Yeah.
life.
And
Yeah.
that being said, I think sex is sacred. It's divine. It's a beautiful thing. Yet it can also be innocent and fun. And for
Mhm.
me, I'm as an open-minded, open-hearted individual. I connect quickly with people, and not with everybody have the special connection. But for me, it is not necessarily a high barrier. So I could quickly get to that level if we have that connection. And then it can be a beautiful thing. But in my book, it is something divine. And I have always the desire to connect deeply. And I will care about that person
Yeah.
if
I
I
think
would hook
we
up.
really, really, we're on the same page there. Like to me, it's really important that I have a connection with you. I want it to be divine. I don't want it to just be I don't want to feel like it's just an obligation or like I
Yeah.
don't feel like I I don't want
And
somebody to be nice to me who
that
treats
it's
me like shit
just
all the
like
time just to get what they want. And then as soon as they get what they want, they're not nice anymore. Does that make sense?
exactly. And that it's just about just the feeling, just the pleasure, just the act, but not the whole element of sex, which is so underrated, which is like the melting together, like the bonding of souls, the eye contact, the mutual
Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
respect,
See.
appreciation, the wanting to connect.
Mhm.
That elevates it even to a way higher level.
That's what
So
makes it
that is,
sacred. That
yeah,
connection right there.
exactly.
That's what makes it sacred. And that's what I like to build off of. As far as building off of that though, my intention would be to be in an actual relationship, not just like I don't feel like I'm gonna have a connection with somebody to that extent and then not be drawn to them further. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is where we differ because
Oh, I
I
know.
good. Even if it's just for one day, if I'm traveling or for example, when I meet somebody and after that I'm gonna leave, then even if it's just for that day, then that will always be a special day in my life and that person will be special to me and I can still connect deeply, but I don't attach. So it doesn't have to be for me the expectation that we're really getting into something serious. And for me, the barrier can be pretty low as long as we connect and as long as there's that mutual vibe, that energetic connection, then yeah,
Okay.
then I'm all for
Nothing
it.
wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think it does come down to that, like mutual respect and communication and consent. Well, I think consent comes with respect. Obviously, if you respect somebody, it's consent goes hand in hand. So yeah, the communication, respecting each other, and just being on the same page. It's important that the person that you're trying to, like the other person has to at least have the same ideas or understanding of what's happening and be like okay with that, be happy with that. So to each their
Absolutely.
own. Like do whatever you want to do. As long as you're not harming another person, do whatever you want to do.
And connect and make it sacred if you
Yeah.
want to get the most out of it. Yeah, that's what I don't vibe with the lack of connection. It's also bland. It's also bland
And
these days,
boring,
bland and boring,
unexciting, and
and
funny. Yeah.
the eye connection is like the eye contact is missing, the wanting to connect, the caring about each other. Um, this is what does elevate it, and
Eye contact is crazy important in a relationship, I think, or in a
absolutely
connection to connect with somebody. It doesn't even have to be
super underrated.
a romantic relationship. That eye contact, I don't know. In today's society, so many people like have
It's
a
the
hard time
windows of the
looking them
soul.
in the
That's how
eye.
you really
Yeah.
have
Like,
a look into each other's soul.
yeah. Yeah, eye contact's really important to me because I there was a point when I was a little younger when I realized like I had a hard time looking people in the eyes, not because of anything. There's a Jesus, and not for any reason beyond like it was just anxiety. I had anxiety. You had to like learn how to navigate that. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
feeling this, and then push through that shit anyways. Like, get through it. So now I'm at a point where when I'm talking to somebody directly, I don't stare like into their soul like a creep, but I like consistent eye contact and then maybe like look they're having a conversation with a few other people, so I'll look at another person. Like it's on my mind now, it's something I think about so that I'm actively connecting with people that I'm having a conversation with. So
yeah.
again,
I,
live
I
and you
was the same.
learn.
I used to be very, very anxious and insecure when I was younger, and I also had a problem with eye contact. It was intimidating to me. But as I grew and worked on myself and became, more confident in my own skin, and that I grew to a more higher vibration, more confident with myself. Then I wanted to connect deeply, and eye contact is an essential part of that. Absolutely.
It is. Oh yeah. Eye contact, touch, like even just like non-sexual touch, just like touching the arm or touching somebody's hand or things like that. Like I feel like that helps with an energetic connection too. For me,
Oh, absolutely.
you know,
Sensuality.
yes, yeah,
And sexuality can be a part of sexuality, but it's definitely not all of it. Sensuality is a whole world. And that's not just touch, it's also all senses. Um, to what's the word? Um, to engage in sensual, to touch the senses, to spark the
stimulate,
senses,
stimulate.
to stimulate the senses in a way that you like pay attention and that you tune in to each other and that you um like usually you have to slow down. People are way too much quick usually and egotistical in their own mind, but if you tune in to the other and to their senses and you know how to touch each other not only physically but with all the senses, now that's a sensual connection and then
Energetic.
you can go really deep.
Yeah, I agree. And like that's what I strive for in any of my relationships, both romantic and platonic. Like I want if you're gonna be in my life and we're gonna be it like to any extent growing together, like I want to have a genuine connection with you. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I value the most as well, to really, if you have a connection, if it's going to be, romantic or sexual, or even if you're just friends as well, like I always value that you tune into each other and that you connect um sensually. And of course it's going to be on a different level if you're romantic with somebody than just with a friend, but still I always value a deep connection, and that is a big part of a deep connection. If you can listen to each other and open up to each other's senses, and each other's likes and dislikes, and play into that, and then build a charisma, chemistry. And a big part of that is opening yourself up and tuning in and paying attention to the other and getting to know
chemistry,
each other, getting to know each other's likes and dislikes. And yeah.
yeah, chemistry and an energetic connection are one and the same to me. Like, so having an energetic connection to somebody where you both are like energetically drawn to each other, I think that's the same thing as having chemistry. There's something pulling you guys in, saying, "Hey, to some capacity, you guys are meant to be in each other's lives." I don't think it
Yeah,
always means it
true.
has to be romantic, but you're pulled to people for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, to me too. This chemistry, energetic connection, and that you vibe, that you understand each other, that you get each other's vibe, or that you have a similar vibe, and that you both have a beautiful energetic connection going on. It's chemistry.
Right. Yes.
And
And
chemistry can
yeah.
can be on many different levels, of course.
And I honestly think like in the beginning, having that you can have chemistry pulling you together. And then it's up to you to see where that goes. And that chemistry or that energetic draw can grow significantly. It can grow into something far deeper than what it originally is. But I think there's just enough in the beginning before you really get to know somebody that pulls you in to let you know, hey, you don't really know this person yet, but they have something. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then you can have a beautiful chemistry, but you can have a different light vision, for example, and that can still block something deeper. But you can still appreciate it for what it is and have beautiful friendship, or in however form it's gonna build.
well, that's what
But
I was
yeah, those are
saying.
two things that can battle with each other: the mind and your plans, how you think life should work out, and
Yeah. Yeah.
the chemistry.
But that's what I was saying with chemistry. It doesn't, you can be drawn to somebody, and it doesn't always mean that just because you're drawn to somebody, it's meant or should be something romantic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It could be, but I feel like it's just you're drawn to people for a reason, whether that's for platonic love, romantic love, or to learn something about it, to learn something about yourself. Because I
Oh,
think
absolutely,
the lessons
absolutely. A lot
teach
of
us
people
who
think
we
right
are.
away if it's the other gender, and you're attracted to somebody and you vibe that right away, like you would have to have something, or would have to to pursue something romantically. No, not at all. Like maybe you have a whole different mindset, or maybe you are, there can be many reasons why that won't work out, and then you can still have a beautiful friendship. Why not? Like that is underrated, I
Right.
believe. Like still
Oh
in this
yeah,
day and
platonic
age.
love is so underrated because it's like, oh, men and women can't be friends because ask the man if he's a friend with a woman if he wants to sleep. That's a nat
Yeah,
it okay, your natural
especially
like if you have the urge or the natural like what would you call that? Like you're naturally like attracted to women. So maybe that's crossed your mind, but you're still capable of being like, all right, well, no, we're not going to sleep together. And I feel like you're still capable of creating
exactly.
like an actual bond with that person, like where you care about them,
Exactly.
but you're not
And I
sleep. I don't
think I
know.
think out of most people, the main people, if I would be friends with a girl and she's in a relationship, and I admit that I'm attracted to her and that we have a good chemistry, then the boyfriend would feel threatened. The boyfriend would not like that.
No.
Where I do not have any intention of stealing her from the boyfriend or whatever, or like doing anything with her. That doesn't have to be. But people always right away think something about it, and I think
It's
that
too,
that
they try and make
is.
it too black and white, and as we've said before, we've had this conversation. Nothing is black and white. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing is as simple as you might want to make it seem. Or why do we like overcomplicate the things that are simple and then simplify the things that are more complex? Like we're a little backwards in that, but nothing is really black and white. So you can have, I'm not a man. I can't think like a man. I can't say that I have the same. I am who I am. I can only think from my perspective and the way that I think and the way my mind works. But I feel like you can have a genuine connection with people. And just because you're like, well, they're the opposite sex, maybe like on a natural, what is the word I'm looking for? I don't want to call it monkey brain because I feel like that's an insult, but like just your natural draw to somebody, like yeah, you would
It
sleep
can
with that
just be a
person.
friendship.
But that doesn't mean
It's not
that because you've had those thoughts that we are capable of being like, okay, but no, that's not what we're creating here. And then I genuinely care about this person. I want to know that, she's doing well and she's healthy and she's this and she's that. Like, no, I'm not saying when you're in a relationship, there should be boundaries and like you should have like a communication. You should communicate with your partner to make sure that you're not making them feel uncomfortable. Like that's still important. Respecting your partner is important. But then there's an issue with control or partners being insecure and then wanting things to be all or nothing. And you don't really have the right to control somebody else's connections and friendships. And I'm telling you right now, if I'm not sleeping with my guy friends when I'm single, why am I going to go start sleeping with them when I'm in a relationship? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like I'm not doing it now and I'm single. So I'm certainly not like, oh, well, now I'm in a relationship. It's time to go start sleeping with all of my guy friends. No, and I know people are going to have a lot of different opinions and I know, and that's the whole point. Like your opinion's not wrong, but neither is mine. There is no right or wrong with any of this.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, everybody is entitled to their opinion indeed. And if you want to be more reserved as a couple and don't want to have the others see other people, and so be it. I just, to be totally honest, think it's a little bit old-fashioned, maybe. It's a little bit, if you become more open-minded and you think more out of the box, then you open yourself up more to just any connection, to connecting with people. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a threat to your relationship or that you're going to sleep together or whatever. But yeah, so be it. I respect people if they do not want that, or if they disagree with that. Feel
I think
free.
it's just going to come down to being like who you're in a relationship with and you communicating with each other. Obviously, if your partner's not insecure, they're going to be far more comfortable with it. Um, and your partner knows you and trusts you, and you guys have a good open like dialogue, because that matters in every relation. Not even about having friends of the opposite sex. You should
It's
have
also
an
a
open
matter, it's
dialogue
really a
with your
matter of
partner.
trust. Like if you are in a monogamous relationship and you really do trust your partner, then that should be enough. If you trust your partner, you trust your partner. You're not
Right.
going to feel threatened by your partner by you having male friends because, if I would be your partner, then I would trust you. So why would I feel threatened that my partner has male friends? Where
Well,
where
you
is that
already know
trust then
you
in
have
the
a much
first place?
different mindset than like a lot of men out there. I've known you for what, like a year and a half now. You are significantly your mindset is much more open and understanding. And well, we have similarities and we have differences, and that's great. We talk about them. But you have the men with their insecurities. Women also, let's reverse this back and forth. I'm just saying men because I'm the woman, who will then say, well, it's not that I don't trust you, I don't trust the man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still making the call unless something was to be a little less than consensual, but like you're still like the person that makes the choices in your life. Like I don't want anybody ever coming in trying to tell me like how to think, how to feel, how to behave, who to talk to, who
Yeah.
not to talk to. Like
I
I
I
like,
cannot
I'm
do
not
that
I'm
as
not with
well. I
that.
I would never, no matter how much I like somebody, I would never for a relationship like not speak to other women again or not be nice to other women. Like I've seen this post come by like recently. I think we spoke about it recently. Like was it that post or Oh no, I have another post in mind, but like that you shouldn't be nice, and if you're in a relationship, that you shouldn't even be nice to
Oh, I
people
know
of
exactly
another
what post you're
gender.
talking about, because that post that we were in, that was a great conversation starter. But um, I don't think that was about relationships. That was about people
Yeah,
getting
that's what I
tired of
was thinking.
people not being nice to people anymore because it got you nothing but walked all over or whatever. But I
Yeah,
have seen
right,
posts
right.
and memes that are like, oh, like they're supposed to be funny, but they're so toxic. Where it's like, oh, my man can't order food if there's a, I don't know. It's like they're supposed to be funny,
But
but
I've
they're
also seen
not.
people, like friends, seen it on my timeline multiple times, posts talking about you have no business as a guy being nice to other women, and some people take it as being flirty. Maybe that's just your character, like how you respond, and maybe what's for some is flirty is for another just having fun with somebody, laughing, complimenting each other. Like for me, that's
Yeah,
probably like how a lot of people would describe my behavior if I'm connecting with other females. Maybe sometimes I'm easy to compliment. I'm easy to, like laugh, have fun. Like it doesn't mean that I have any intention of getting with them at all. But many people take it that way. Many people take it as flirty,
because we
and
live
I've
in a
seen many
society
posts
where
like
there's that
if you're in a
underlying
relationship, you have no
manipulation.
business. Hmm?
We live in a society, like we were talking earlier, where there's that underlying like lying and manipulation to get what you want. So people who do that are automatically going to assume, because it's their natural way of thinking, that you're doing the same. You're the same as them because that's what they do. So of course that's what you would do, because they
Exactly.
don't understand
It's all just
the other person's
projections of
perspective.
people projecting their experiences
Yeah.
and their fears, people projecting their fears instead of where is that trust? If you really trust each other in a relationship, then that should be above that stuff. And you can still be however you want. You can still just be nice to other people of another gender and have friends of another gender and whatever. Like, yeah. For
I
me
do. I believe
personally,
that because, like I said, I have a lot of a diverse group of friends. I have male friends, I have female friends. I'm not sleeping with any of my male friends, and I certainly wouldn't do it once I got into a relationship. Like, that makes no sense. My morals are my morals. They are what resonate with me and who I am, regardless of what somebody else tells me to think, or somebody else tells me to feel, or tells me that I should be thinking or should be feeling, or what they think or what they feel. It doesn't change who I am or the way I choose to live my life or the things that work for me. Kind of think that's what I'm getting at. Like, you have to learn, if you're going to be a healthy relationship, requires you to allow the other person to be themselves fully, have the relationships that they came into fully, be on the same page together, know what know what you want together so you can grow together, and of course mutual respect. But mutual
yeah,
respect is not listening to somebody tell you what to think or feel or what to wear or how to look. Like, that's not mutual respect, that is control. There is a difference.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, what I always value most in a relationship is openness, transparency, um, being real, being honest, being open, transparent, nothing to hide, but to just, put it all out there. And then you can, go wherever you want to go. Like there is no limit. If you fully trust each other, then like you are not in a box. But I believe like these days, I see it a lot around. There is so much insecurity. There is so much fear of what your partner might be doing. And in some cases, it might be true. But if you have that genuine connection and you have that trust, then you shouldn't be worried about that unless you were manipulated into that. And yeah, that is
Well, that's,
sad that
yeah,
that is,
that's kind of like, I think what it comes down to is the lying and the manipulation to get what you want. It's a very
yeah,
one-sided. If you're lying and manipulating somebody to get what you want, that's very one-sided. We can't change people like that.
right.
That's like something with their character. That's just who they are. But we also know, like, I know there are good men out there. I'm friends. I have solid friendships with men that don't have that toxic mindset, that don't act or behave in that way. So like that's why I'm very big on like supporting men also. But when I support men, I'm supporting good men. I'm not out there supporting that toxic whatever. I don't want to call it toxic masculinity because as we've talked before, like that's really not even a thing. Toxic behaviors, we'll call it toxic behaviors. That's good enough. We'll call it toxic behaviors. Like I don't support that. I don't support where you feel like you have to put somebody like under you in order to feel bigger, feel strong, feel whatever. Like I have no other words.
Or using a person, manipulating them, it's all
And it all
toxic
goes just
behavior.
not respecting them and having it all be very one-sided.
Right, right. And it's understandable that people lose their trust in humanity, in people, because of these toxic behaviors, because of people who manipulate and lie. So they are less quickly to fully trust each other. And it's a shame because yes, there are always good people out there. And I think you should never lose your hope. And it is indeed intuition. So just
Yeah.
listen to your heart. But if your intuition has no reason to believe that your partner is whatever, lying to you, cheating if you're in a monogamous relationship, then it's a shame to let negative experience of other toxic people have such an impact, a grip on you that you think you should control your partner and that they shouldn't have friends of another gender. That's just my take. I think you should keep it open and listen to your heart, listen to your intuition, let that guide. But yeah, don't let the toxic ones ruin it.
Spread love, be love, just love. All right, so we've been going for about an hour, so I'm going to end it here. Attention spans have probably already got kind of bored with us, which is fine. It'll get better, guys. We're going to figure it out. But it was great. I love talking to you. I love talking. Our conversations are always wonderful. I love that. So we're going to wrap up this episode. Do you have any like final thoughts before we jump off? Anything that you want to like close out with?
No, not really. Actually, I also really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, so then next week's episode is going to be next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maybe a little more organized than today, but it'll still be, we're going to go live on Twitch. We're going to go live on Facebook. Eventually, we're probably going to try and go live on more platforms. Don't know who the guest for next week is going to be. I have a few people that are interested. So once I officially have somebody picked, I will announce it. With that being said, next week episode is going to be on karmic relationships, twin souls, and soulmates. We're going to talk about that, thoughts, opinions, the whole shambam. All right. With that, I'm going to end it here. So have a good one.
See you later, Pete.